All right, continuing with setting up the two DNS servers. So this is server 1, the primary zone DNS server. Now that we added another subnet, we have to add another reverse lookup zone, and this will be again primary zone, reverse lookup zone, and this is the new zone. Will allow secure and non-secure dynamic updates. No, this was another reverse lookup zone. Now, when I go to the primary zone, and this is my server 2, added already, self-registered into the zone, I will simply refresh the pointer update, and we'll make sure that the record has been added here. All right, now, the other thing I have to do is I have to, because I will be setting up a secondary zone DNS server, I have to allow zone replication. So going zone by zone, right-click on the zone, going to properties, and these are the zone properties of DNS. Now, what we have to concentrate here on zone transfers. By default, they are allowed. But you have to read only to servers listed on the name servers tab. And I'm going to follow the default here. You can specify to any server, which is completely insecure, and this is to, you can list servers. But I'm going to use this one because in the name servers tab, I can list all the servers that I need. And I know that my secondary DNS server, although not installed and not configured, but I know which one will be. I can pre-stage my secondary DNS servers. So, add, and this will be server 2.lab223.pack. And this resolve basically tells me that the server is being resolved. Now, it won't be validated, but I don't care about that. It's not validated because I haven't installed DNS server and zones there. Still, I will just click OK. The server is added, which is the equivalent of pre-staging a server for replication. And I have to do this thing for all zones. Name servers, add server 2. As a matter of fact, I can just copy and paste this fully qualified domain name. Again, I have to resolve, click OK, apply, next zone, and this is done. So my authoritative DNS server is ready for replication. Going to server number 2. Roles, DNS, so this is my DNS server management console. And right away, new zone, going next, secondary zone, going next, and I have to type the exact name of the zone, And because it's secondary zone, they ask you for the IP address of the authoritative DNS server, the one that is authoritative for the zone. And then you press enter, and it says OK. because this DNS server points to the authoritative DNS server. If you have problems here, you always have to go to command prompt and type nslookup. And this is the right result. It means that this server is asking the authoritative DNS server for resolution for DNS queries. That's why we're getting the proper answer here. Going next, finish. And because we pre-staged the zone, when I click here, I should have a full replication of the zone. Well, it didn't load. So I have to see why it doesn't load. But my expectation was that this will load. Okay, I had to refresh. It took some time. The zone got populated right away. Again, this secondary zone is a read-only zone. You cannot create records here. You can't. But it will always replicate from the, so again, looking at the diagram, this DNS server, secondary zone, will replicate from the primary zone. In workgroup environment, you can have only one writable zone per domain. This is the one where you create records or computers register and update their records. Once an update is done, the replication will be done through this server. You can have one writable, but you can have a limited number of, depending on your licensing, you can have a limited number of secondary zone servers. And if this one is down for whatever reason, then the secondary DNS servers will still resolve. All right. Now what's left is to recreate the reverse lookup zones. New zone, next, again, secondary. It's replicated right away. And all secondary zones got replicated. Now, this is done. We have redundancy, and the last thing is to change the TCP/IP settings in our desktops, because we're still working with static IP addresses. I'll go to the TCP/IP settings here. And now I have alternate DNS server. In reality, that's what we have, an alternate DNS server. If the first one does not work, the computer will ask the secondary zone DNS server. Now, let's do a test. This is a DNS server, right? And what I'll do is I'll just stop it. This is my server 1. Just go to all tasks and I'll stop it. All right? Let's see if my PC1, first of all, can access the internet. Actually, this is not going to work very well. Why? Because it will ask the secondary DNS server. So what we forgot is in my server number 2 to go to properties, to configure listening to this IP address and to forward. It will work because it will forward to rootkits. I'm going to add another server here, and I can go for, I don't need to add anything else. I'll just remove rootkits to make sure that this server works. Refreshing it, and again going to PC1. And let's see, and it started working. So with my server, my DNS server down, I have internet access. And not only that, I also have name resolution. And I have public name resolution. And finally, I have name resolution and local resources. But of course, I'm going to go to the server and restart the service. So everything's intact. All right, the only thing I have to do is configure the other computers with alternate DNS server, which is our secondary zone DNS server. This concludes the installation of secondary zone DNS server for redundancy with testing if the authoritative DNS server goes down to have a redundant method of resolution of resolving on a local area network. And finally, probably, let's say this is the secondary zone DNS server. As you can see, I cannot create records here. Why? Because these zones are read-only zones. In server 1, I can create a new host record. For example, I can again, I can pre-stage or create new host records. This will be PC, let's say 10, just to make a point here. We'll put in a third subnet. The host has been created, PC10. This is my secondary zone. It only replicates from this one. When I refresh, the record comes right away. If I check the reverse lookup zone here, the new record, the pointer to PC10 has been created. If I go to the secondary zone DNS server, the replication has been done automatically. And if you have, let's say, 20 secondary zone DNS servers, they will all receive the change. Theoretically, practically, you have to consider proximities, network bandwidth, and so on and so on. There is more to add. But technically, this is how it is done. Next step, implementing different IP addresses on the current network. And finally, adding DHCP servers for automatic distribution of TCP/IP settings throughout the network.